and we're joined in studio here in Orchard Park by the general manager of the Buffalo Bils, Brandon Beane. 1 week in the books at training camp. How's it gone so far? What do you think of camp so far?
You know, it's just like any other camp almost. You know, you're here, you're excited, you're away. It's the start of padded football. You know, which is the part when you can truly start really evaluating the team and what you got, especially your fronts.
Yeah, you're a weekend and it's still early, but and headed over here tonight for this blue and red thing. What do we expect tonight? What are you looking for? What are we going to see? Give us a rundown on our expectations.
Yeah, it's the first time some of these guys are going to play in this stadium, and you want to, home field is very important for Sean and I. You want to win every game, but we preach, I think Sean's defend our dirt, and he's had some different slogans. It's very important for us to play well here, and so sometimes Sean will even have some Friday practices over there just to, make that feel truly home. And so this is our first chance, and we got a new turf. And so, this will be the first time the guys are on that, getting the feel of that, what cleat fits and things like that, which is important because we play here in 6 days.
Rochester for a minute, and I know there's who knows what's coming up in the future of camp, but maybe it's just because of the short length of training camp in Rochester this year because the trip to Carolina is coming up. But I can see a benefit of this team getting away just for a little bit. To bond down there, to practice under different circumstances, to do the walkthroughs even. You can see that it would work almost sometimes just to get away, even if it's just for a short, 10 practice period that you've got this year down there.
Yeah, it's very important. Sean and I do believe, it is, a thing of the past. When you talk about the NFL, I think
only
there's
10 teams do it.
9 or 10. Yeah, I wasn't sure the number, but we believe in going away. We truly do. We think there's a great benefit to, even though you're sleeping in dorms, just that bonding time. Guys aren't trying to rush out of there at that last meeting to get home, run an errand, do this. Your wives aren't on to you. Can you swing by, whatever, and pick this up? They know we're away, and we're there to do a job, and it forces guys. Hey, I'm either going to hang out here in the CAF and have some laughs with the guys, or I'm going to go sit in my dorm room. So there's a lot of bonding, and that's Steve. You understand that how important it is because when adversity hits, you want to know as much about your teammates, who's got your back, who's all in, and such.
Can I want this question along similar lines. One thing I think I detect too is now in the third year, third season for you coming up, and third year is for Sean as head coach. And I know he was trying to instill a culture, you can see it now. You can definitely see it. The way people work, the way people talk. I'm talking about your players. There is a culture, and it takes time. But going into the third year, you can see it, I think, at work down there almost every day.
Yeah, you definitely can. I think we feel it, we see it. Is it perfect? No, you're still building it and trying to refine it, and there's some new faces that we're still acclimating to how we do things, and that's what the spring is, and you're seeing it. But got a nice, note or compliment, whatever you want to call it, from one of the officials. The NFL officials are in town, and one of them yesterday grabbed me on the side and just introduced himself and said, "Hey, I just want to tell you, you guys got a great people here." He said, "A lot of times we can get in these rooms and it gets contentious with players or coaches going through what the new rules are, and we're here to enact the rules. We don't make the rules." Right. And sometimes people lose sight of that. But he said, "I've been very impressed. He said, I've been doing this for I think 18 years." He said, "This is one of the best groups, and you guys have the word he used was positive environment." And I just said appreciate the comments, and so it was nice to hear that from someone I wasn't suspecting.
Sure.
And one unique thing about going to St. John Fisher in Rochester, it's not like you're the Cowboys and you go to Thousand Oaks in California, or the Chiefs that used to go to Wisconsin. You're away, but you're not across the globe. I mean, there's still we make the commute every day to come over and be on the show, and so it's not like you're out. And still, it's about the fan base and the fans getting a chance to, and they're actually Bills fans who come out to campus. It's not just people who actually live in the region, wherever it is you're going to be. This is still home, kind of your backyard.
Yeah.
But you're still away.
It definitely is. It's close enough. We're away, so, you don't have to worry about guys trying to go home. But it's close enough. It's not like we want people's families not to be around. You do see some of the players' families that will come up, watch a practice, maybe see them for a few minutes after, kids, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's also in our backyard of our fans. And this is a chance for people, and it's great. Sometimes if you're there signing autographs or talking to fans, a lot of people still come from the Buffalo area up to Rochester because this is an intimate setting after practice, watching practice, but then our players do a great job after practice of stopping and acknowledging, taking pictures, signing autographs. That's important for us, too. That's something that would be harder to do here, that the setup is great there at St. John Fisher. We always say a lot of times you're making memories for an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old kid, things they'll never forget of meeting a Tremaine, a Josh, or or whoever on our team.
Well, you got a chance to be in St. John Fisher, but for the first time in a while, next week after this next preseason game, you're taking off and you're going to go down to Carolina. What are your expectations there?
Yeah, Sean and I, we talked about doing it a year ago. We had a couple of teams that had reached out last year, the Giants, and then I even had a conversation with Green Bay about this year. But the way the schedule worked out with Carolina, obviously we're familiar with them. It's something that it's not a game. It's a chance for us to run some drills, get some reps with some guys, a different group, and test some of our guys maybe that wouldn't get a chance to be tested as much or in that manner in a game setting. So we'll be able to do a lot. We respect Coach Rivera and Marty Herney and that group, and the important thing that Sean and I wanted to do was get our guys some heat. When we booked this, once the preseason schedule came out, we didn't have
about temperature, hot weather.
It's gonna. Well, Ron called me a while ago and said, "Hey."
I don't want to hear this.
we had about 18 guys the other day that had to get IVs, so it's hot right now. It'll go up. We'll see what it is, but it's like
sure we got an IV for Murph, would you please?
It's like practicing in a steam room. And
why do you want that for your team?
well, I think you can get hot games in September, and so. It's nice. We love the climate up here, but we also don't want to, we're playing again, we booked this with these guys before the schedule came out, but you can still get some hot games, in New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. So it's, we could have been at Miami week 1. Who knew how the schedule was going to play out? But you can get hot games, and we've had a few hot days, but it's a different kind of heat down there in Carolina, and we just want our guys to feel what it's like and get acclimated so that if we were in a game setting where it was a truly hot game, that it wasn't something we hadn't been in before.
I'm thinking that it could, aside from heat, temperature-wise, it could get hot too. I mean, it would be just a little elevated level of competition, wouldn't you think, against another team in these practices next week?
Yeah, you do see where sometimes they can get out of hand, where the intensity. But I think that's part of who you want to pick and choose who you're practicing against. A, you probably want to avoid somebody you're playing in season if possible, and B, someone who is going to hold their team accountable. Sean will definitely hold our guys accountable, and we've done it when I was in Carolina with Ron. We did it with Miami, and Ron was the first time any of the Panthers, when I was with them, would even flinch to get out of line. Ron was there to calm it down, and there was one little small thing in one-on-one pass rush, and it was stop quick, and it was day 2. Other than that, it was a great, we got a lot out of it, and Sean and I think, we can do the same here when we travel down there.
Well, in the offseason, you addressed a lot of needs on the offensive side of the football. Talk about the first week of training camp. Now you kind of deal with, you can't plan for it, but you got 3 tight ends down. Your offensive linemen are starting to get nicked up. You've had to sign a tight end, bring a tight end so you can practice. That's an ongoing issue for everybody, I guess. But talk about the progress you're trying to make.
Yeah, we are. I can't remember ever having 8 tight ends on a roster. But that's you play the hand you're dealt, and that's part of it. And hopefully some of these guys will start mending up and get back out there. But it's a chance. Before some of these guys got hurt, we were running with mostly the guys, the ones, and working on that continuity. Unfortunately, it happens just like in games. So what we call it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for someone else to get reps and earn playing time. And who knows what's going to happen when we get this down to the 53. And you guys know as well as I do, injuries happen, and so the positive in this situation is other guys get reps. If it's on offense with Josh that may otherwise have not gotten reps, and they'll be more prepared should this happen in season.
At tight end, it's been an opportunity for Tommy Sweeney the last week or so. What have you seen from him, 7th-round pick?
Tommy's consistent, and for a rookie, you don't see the wide-eyed look in him, and you see him just getting better and better. And what an opportunity for him, a 7th-rounder who's getting reps with the ones, a lot of them, due to some of these other guys in front of him that have are nicked up right now. And he's done great. He's done really good in the blocking. He's improving in the passing game, and it's something that will help him as we move forward. And it's probably not something he expected.
Right.
Week 1 of training camp, I'm gonna be definitely running in there at the ones, but it doesn't look too big for him.
Can we're with Brandon Beane, by the way, the Bills general manager, a rookie who's impressed me, and I'm sure he did you. You drafted him 2nd round. But one thing about Cody Ford, Steve and I mentioned how giant he is. I mean, he's got big ankles, big feet, and yet he's nimble. He moves pretty well for a guy that big, and especially big, down low, right?
Yeah.
You must have seen that scouting him.
Yeah, we definitely did. I think a lot of people in the league, probably maybe just because of his size, he looks more like a guard build.
Yeah.
Thought but we felt like this guy, he did it, and he played against some good players at Oklahoma, that he should have that right to play right tackle because he was very good, and he's shown the footwork. Now, this is a different speed, that these pass rushers are coming off the end, and there is some adjustments, and guys have way more moves than he saw at Oklahoma. But I see a guy who's getting better and better and better every day. It doesn't look too big, and in the run game, I mean, he's a people mover. He just he's a mauler, brawler, and even what I love about him, one of the days we had a little fracas out there, he is the first guy over there to defend his guy and look out when he gets over there.
Yeah, you talk about the running game. You've got an interesting bunch of running backs in the room. You got Frank Gore, LaShawn McCoy, and Devin Singletary, and T.J. Yeldon. How do you see that group shaking out so far in camp?
Yeah, it's been good competition, and I know Sean and Brian Dayball have done a great job. Frank and LaShawn, starting with those two, of rotating who's getting more carries, just to spread the load out. It's a long camp. These are older guys. We don't want to burn their mileage down before the season starts. So they both have had good days. I think the competition is the best it's been in the 3 years that I've been here at running back. Devin Singletary has done a great job, and he's really shown a feel for the pass game. And I know Brian's worked him in that, and that's something that he wasn't used a lot in college. He was mostly just getting the ball a handoff. And T.J. Yeldon's done a great job of just being an all-purpose type player. You see him in the run game, you see him in the pass. Sonaris Perry, Marcus Murphy. It's there's a lot of guys that have played NFL downs, and then we've got Christian Wade, who this is his first time, his first camp. He's learning on the fly. He's fun.
Unbelievable experience for him.
He's fun. He's had some moments, especially in one-on-ones where he can use his skill set. He's quick, and when he gets out there, he can run. But I love the competition. It's a long way from being settled, but it's a good group. It's a positive competition.
Let me test my amateur scouting eye on a professional like you again. John Brown, first day, and this is the most I've seen him this past week. I was just so blown away by how smoothly he makes all of his cuts, and it's like it's a level above all the other receivers you have. He's fast. We know that you can clock him as fast, but you can't until you see him run. You don't realize how smooth he is.
You're gonna have to bear with Murph because he is taking full credit for John Brown. Being
I was on
Buffalo.
John Brown last February. I was.
I tell you, he's the John Brown. He's the conductor on the John Brown train. And he has been since there was just one car and he was on it. So, just.
Bear with him.
Just help Murph out and stroke him a little bit.
Hey, you're spot on. Your scouting eye is working.
Thank you.
You've done a good job.
That's really I was looking.
Is that what you needed?
Yeah.
You me stop there, or you me keep going?
Go ahead if you want.
So John has been a great. Let's talk about off the field. He's brought some leadership to the room. That's one of the things you heard a little bit in the research, but until they get in there, you don't know that feel. He's quiet, but if something needs to be said, my understanding is he will say it. He understands the offense, and to what you're talking about, the route running. Obviously, he's a vertical threat, but he does have a great knack for a lot of the end cuts and the stop routes. And he's, him and Tre'Davious have been great for each other, like a tackle and a defensive end going at it every day. These two, there's been he's faked Tre'Davious out of his shoes or Kevin Johnson. And then there's also been some days where Tre'Davious has been all over it and made some plays too. But those two are we believe iron sharpens iron. And John has done a great job of making plays down the field deep, but also some underneath stuff as well.
That's one of the things that kind of got under our radar. We never really spoke about it, that Sean has always said he wants a veteran leader in every room. And you look at the wide receiver crew coming back from last year, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
You really had to go out and find as much a guy to stand up and say, hey, guys, here's how it's done, as you did, good players. Obviously, you wanted to find both in the same guy. But that had to be a real concern of yours coming into this season. Nobody knew the offense. None of the veteran guys knew the offense, Cole Beasley or John Brown, and you really needed to fill that void.
Yeah, most definitely. Those are two guys with skins on the wall that some of the young guys that don't have, the experience that these two have, bring in, they go, that's Cole Beasley. I've been watching him for years in Dallas, and this is John Brown. I saw him grow up in Arizona and then a year in Baltimore. So there's a natural respect that comes with some of the things that they've done in this league, and both of those guys have been everything. I mean, Cole, unfortunately missed the spring because he had to have, the hernia surgery, but he's come in and he's worked with some of the younger guys, the Ray Rays, the Isaiah McKenzie's, and those guys on the slot. You see those guys have even improved their route running inside. It's one thing to be coached. It's another when you have a player that's done it, that knows, I know it's coached like this, but here's a little trick to the trade to help you, on not selling your route too soon or, whatever they're trying to teach.
We're a week into the Bills training camp. We're with Brandon Beane, the Bills general manager. I'm going to focus on defense just for a second or two here, Brandon. And, the alumni stop by camp a lot. Kyle Williams comes in. He's not typical alumni. You've put him, you guys, Sean in particular, put him to work. And it looks like he's got one project to work on, huh?
Yeah, obviously he's been working with Ed, and that's natural.
Was that a plan all along?
That was a plan. And we talked about it back in the spring once we drafted Ed. But we got some other young guys that Kyle's working with as well. Ed's probably the reason we did it, just to have a guy who's filling the exact seat that he was in. I actually sent Kyle's wife a text last night and told her I know he was supposed to come home on Saturday, but
you keeping him?
Terry Pagula told me not to let him out of here, so I don't know when he'll be back. But
just keep taking him over to Oak Hill in the afternoon. It'll be good.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but Kyle's been great, and you have to give Bill Tierlink and Aaron Whitecotton, who are the coaches in that room, a lot of credit. They just let Kyle come in and have free reign as well to help coach and give a player's perspective separate of the coaches, and it's been great. And I'm sure I know Jerry's been talking to him. So there's a lot of different guys. Harrison Phillips and I have a great relationship from a year ago, and Ed has been like a sponge, and you see some things that just some little nuances that Kyle has already working with him of not giving away what he's doing prior to the snap. There's signs, and also helping some of these guys with cues that he would read what linemen would do to give away telltale signs, whether the guy's pulling or it's pass sets or things like that. So that's just something that you can't we can't replace a Kyle Williams as a player in a locker room, and for him to be willing to come up here and share with these guys. And I think he's going to do what he can from afar, and he's invested. So many guys, they probably just want to go away. Kyle loves this city, loves this team, and he's told me that multiple times. Any way we can use him, he's here to help, and he's been great for what he's done.
Well, let me ask you a big picture question. So in the next couple of weeks, you're going to go from 90 or whatever it is all the way down to 53. How likely is it that all of those 53 are here? I mean, in years past, you've at the bottom of the roster, you're like, maybe we're looking for some guys for some other teams to get cut or whatever. You might do that again this year, but nevertheless, even if you do, I think this year, comparatively speaking to last year before, is a much more difficult roster to make as a player than it has been, because you've got some depth you've never had before.
Yeah, one of the main goals, obviously, we wanted to get better this year through free agency and the draft, but was to create better depth. And I do feel we've created better depth than we had 2 years ago when we got here, and then even last year as we dealt with the cap situation, with trying to build this roster. So we got a lot of work to do, and we got to get through some of these injuries too. Depth can get depleted quick, but there's a lot. We got 4 games to play. I hope you're right. There's people say, how's this guy gonna make it? I'm like, there's so many things that will happen and play out. Let's let it play. Let's be calm. Let's know what's out there, the landscape of the league. But you hope that you have some guys claimed from other teams. That really will tell you where your depth's at, as you build this thing.
I got a depth player to ask you about, a guy who just came in about a week before camp, the safety Kurt Coleman, who, Micah Hyde gets hurt a little bit, and Coleman steps in and, He belongs here. And Tre'Davious was talking about him on our show yesterday, what a big help Coleman has been to him already.
He is a true pro. We say that a lot about guys, but this guy's a leader. As guys get around Kurt more, he was a big part of our success. The year we went to the Super Bowl in Carolina, that was his first year there, and he had, like I said, he had 7 picks in the season, and two big ones in the playoffs. And he can play on the back end. He can play in the box. He's just he's an older vet, but he can still play, and he just brings so much wealth of knowledge. He understands the defense. He's a great guy off the field, but when he steps in the white lines, he's mean, and he plays with a physical edge. And I think our guys have noticed that in the week he's been here.
Why wait so long to sign him?
Yeah, it's one of those things. We talked to Kurt and his reps during the spring and stayed in touch. It's just looking for the right fit. I think the timing when Raphael let us know that he was considering, once he let us know that he was considering over the summer, I went ahead and reached back out to Kurt and his reps, had multiple conversations of, are you ready? Make sure you're in shape. And so the timing, it's all about timing, and wanted to make sure it was right for him, right for us. And, it was perfect timing. And how about that? Micah, has to sit out a few days. And that's the great thing about Kurt. He probably knew 90% of this defense when he walked in, and he quickly picked up the other 10%. And it doesn't look like a guy that's just been on this team for just over a week.
We're with Brandon Beane. We got to let him go, but quick question. Tonight, do you have your eye on something in particular? Do you soak it all in? I know you watch video after tonight, too.
Yeah, I'll watch it all. We'll see. Sean, we'll see how much live stuff he does, but, we do have some guys nicked up, so, I think I'm waiting on our trainer to let me know who all's definitely in and who's not, depending on how they did in treatment earlier. But it'll be fun, it'll be great. Another chance for us to, be in front of the fans, and I know, afterwards there'll be some autographs and things like that, and it's important for Sean and I. We want the right people on the field. Winning is why we're here, but we also want to have people and players that love it and love connecting, with the Buffalo fan base, and that's a big part of why we do this as well.
You may not know the answer to this because the practice schedule, if people have been out to St. John Fisher, watch the team practice, it's going to be a lot like that, or is there going to be something significantly different, or is it going to be
it'll be pretty similar to
stepped up practice
to what we've done, but there's a natural intensity, a raised level of competition when you get in the stadium, even when we practice like that, but definitely once you get fans out there. I remember last year, I don't know if you guys remember, the one play I remember is when we were doing a backed up drill, and Josh didn't find anyone open, and he sprinted like 80-some yards down the field, and I'm like, nobody was going to catch him. And I think that's the first time maybe even fans knew this guy could be a threat with his feet.
Yeah.
Right. So pads tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Last question I have for you. We're about a month away from Cutdown Day. There's only one, obviously, August 31. But you guys, I would imagine, have regular personnel meetings,
Yes.
once a week, every night? What do you do?
Yeah, we do them once a week. So we've had one, and then from here on out, we are going to have one tomorrow, because this will be kind of like a little mini event.
Sure.
And then from there on, we'll do them after each game of where we're at. And then after that last one, that'll be the...
Then it gets serious.
Rock 'em, sock 'em. Coaches are going to be putting their feet on the line.
Right.
I want this guy.
They stand on the table and they make their case, right, for guys. Yeah,
and it's
I asked
good.
him yesterday. I asked
Heath Farwell
yesterday, how many guys are yours? I mean, how many you get a pick? He goes, we're still talking about it. It's all
He said
fluid.
20.
Yeah.
Heath, and he said, I need to catch up with Heath.
Listen, at some point, they're all his. He needs them all, except for maybe Josh and the backup quarter. They all run across his path at some point.
They definitely do. He's done a great job to this point, and I love his. He sometimes you can get coaches that are like, man, I got to have this guy. And when we say, hey, it's not looking good for this guy, or we're going to have to move on. I know he was a special teams guy first, but we need somebody as a position player. All right, I'll get the next guy ready, and he's going to bring a great energy to our unit this year.
Brandon, this is great. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, man.
You got it, guys.
Brandon Beane.
Good luck tonight. Stay healthy.
Bils General Manager Brandon Beane. Eric Wood standing by. He'll join us next here in studio. Come on back. One Bils live from One Bils Drive on Buffalo Bills Radio.